it has become one of the most talked about topics of the season, probably for the last decade, I would say, is obviously the 2017 Singapore Grand Prix start. Now, this isn't the 2017 Singapore Grand Prix review, I must say. Those days are gone. Those days are gone, guys, unfortunately. I'm afraid to say those days are long gone anyways. But if you have been living on Mars, living under a rock, or wherever, wherever you've been and you don't know what we're talking about, then basically I'll recap this for you. So obviously 5 lights as you do at every single race. A little bit of drizzle obviously happened before the start of the race. Intermediate, wet, whatever tyre suit the conditions. 5 lights went out. Kimi Räikkönen got an absolutely incredible start. Probably one of the best starts. Probably Bottas-esque. Austria 2017, I would say, definitely. On par with that. It was a very good start. So obviously he has Max Verstappen for company just right in front of him. So obviously he then swings to the left. Then you've got up front, you've got I sound like formation there. Up front at the front of the grid on pole position, you've got Sebastain Vettel away with it. He got a mediocre average start. He then arguably cuts left to try and, let's say, fend off Verstappen. Obviously you've got Räikkönen still side by side with Verstappen, just closing the gap. Then all of a sudden, boosh! Brilliant sound effects. Boosh! Hits him. Kimi Räikkönen's right rear tyre comes off. Flies straight across the grid. Verstappen, obviously, pretty much, he's like, getting away with it so far. Come to turn 1. Räikkönen is still, obviously, he's got no control of the car. He's a sitting duck, and obviously Verstappen comes to turn 1. He gets Kimi Räikkönen hits Verstappen, and then obviously makes contact with Alonso in the process. Apart from that, Sebastain Vettel actually misses all the melee at turn 1, even though he's got massive damage on the side of his car. The damage was like unbelievable. Obviously, when the car panned round into turn 2, it was just like, wow, that's a lot of damage on that car. You can see all the insides and everything. All the technicians would be like, oh, get all them details quickly. And then obviously the fluid lost caused him to spin, hit the barrier, front wing, totally off. Not like your aero plates and everything. The entire nose section was off. So obviously that looked a bit strange. Obviously he's reversing down while obviously the safety car comes out. So massive, incredible start to the Singapore Grand Prix. Let's say Spa 2012 called, and he wants to start back. So I think that was something that was quite referred to. But now a lot of pundits have had their said, I've had to say on the start. A lot of people have been debating who was in the wrong. But they're all going to move over, and we're going to have our say because we haven't said a word about this. Me and Lyle have spoke about it on their social media, but we haven't really came out on the F1 Debate Show, and obviously we haven't made I don't think we've made a video since. So it's now our turn to have our say. Now, obviously, I'll give my verdict. Now, I think it's just one of them things where he didn't see this guy and this guy didn't see him. Because from what I've seen, obviously, at first glance, it was Verstappen's fault. At immediate first glance. When you see the replays, you see a different side of the story. So, how I say it was, Verstappen got away average. Räikkönen, obviously, as I said, got away very well. He goes to the left of Verstappen. Now, obviously, Verstappen has now got his eye on Sebastain Vettel, because obviously he's saying, "Oh right, okay, Sebastain Vettel is away. He's in P2. I think Räikkönen was P4. So obviously, to the left, Verstappen gets a good start, and then obviously Sebastain Vettel then, as I said, an average start, kind of moves to the left a bit to fend off Verstappen. Now that's what you would do because he can see Verstappen's got a better start than what he did. So he's like, right, I'm just going to just slightly maybe fend him off. So he's thinking that Verstappen's going to yield and move out the way. However, Verstappen's like, well, I can't move because I've got Kimi Räikkönen next to me. So I don't think Seb knows that. I don't think Seb can see Kimi. And Kimi's in the same situation as Seb, and he's coming in right. Okay, he's going to move out the way. He's going to move to the right. Obviously, he doesn't know where Vettel is. So obviously, again, Kimi is thinking the same as Seb. He's like, okay, Verstappen's going to move out the way. He didn't. That's why they made contact, because obviously the gap just got tighter and tighter, and bang, hits them. So obviously, and that's where the carnage came from. And obviously the aftermath of that obviously caused Räikkönen's car to sharp bend right, hit obviously contact with Verstappen's car, and hit his teammate right at the side pod. Obviously caused massive amount of damage. And obviously Räikkönen was just pretty much like a sailing board straight into turn 1. You could just say it was just like, okay, they're gonna hit, bang. And obviously Verstappen on the team meeting was like, I've made contact. Oof! And obviously you heard the impact, and obviously Alonso got caught up in the process. He got an incredible start. Let's not forget what a start from Alonso, up to P3 by turn 1, and then I think that was Alonso's season within 6 seconds. Very, very good. It was like, okay, it's going good, and bang, there we go. Probably, actually, I wouldn't say this season. I would say probably the past 4 or 5 years, let's say. So that was summed up. So my opinion would be it was just there was. I don't think there was anyone to blame. Ferrari was straight on the bandwagon almost after the incident. They were like, Verstappen hit #Kimi7, #Seb5. That's that. Well, they didn't put that, but that's what getting the hashtags in. That's what they referenced their drivers as. So it was like, well, everyone straight away were like, well, no, you can't go accusing of Verstappen being purposely doing this, because I don't think he was. I don't think he purposely moved, blocked blocked Kimi Räikkönen off, because that's what Ferrari was saying, that he blocked him off. But if you look on the replay, I watched this just before we recorded, is that if you see Verstappen go to the right, obviously he's obviously aware, or well, he might not be aware that Räikkönen, obviously how good of a start Räikkönen has had. So obviously he immediately he's seen Seb obviously come off the line and go left. So obviously Verstappen goes right, but then you see him cut left ever so slightly, just a nudge, and then obviously he probably doesn't even see Kimi. He probably like, Kimi will be behind us. He'll be waiting for obviously everyone to make it through turn 1 and turn 2. But no, obviously he's like, last minute he's like, whoa, hang on a second, bang, and then I think it was because Verstappen was watching Vettel. Verstappen didn't know Räikkönen was there. Räikkönen didn't know where Seb was, and obviously he thought that Seb was obviously long gone, and he didn't know that Vettel was there for Verstappen to avoid, if you know what I mean. It is quite complicated how I'm thinking like this, but that's what I think. Racing incident, nothing to go on about it. That's pretty much it, really. So Lyle, let's get your verdict on this. Now, you said to me in the text message, almost literally after the incident, you said 110% Verstappen's fault. You said Verstappen was to blame.
I did.
And then obviously afterwards you said, all right, maybe Seb has some sort of involvement in there. So do you still have that statement, or do you think that, hang on a second, there is more to this than meets the eye? What's your opinion on the incident?
Right, okay, so I mean, obviously it was an unbelievable start, it really was. I mean, also just on an unrelated note as well, I mean, we're already going to say this about obviously the last time we saw the 5 lights was in Monza, the previous round that we went to, which does seem like a long time ago now. Anyway, yeah, so we had a great start like that, and obviously those 3 drivers who they don't really get tangled up in crashes and collisions. So the reason I said Verstappen, I'm just going to dive into it straight away. The reason I said Verstappen was basically that he came out unbelievably fast. Now obviously you also had Ricciardo alongside, obviously with the Red Bull of Verstappen. You had Vettel in front as well, obviously Räikkönen, who did quite a decent start. Verstappen came and he had a great start, and he was coming in the inside of the 2 Ferraris. Now, firstly, Vettel moved off his line, which I think anyone could have seen, because the racing line is on the right, is on the right hand side of the track, going down into turn 1, so you can got the racing line going around turn 1. So he was obviously out his racing line, pushing somebody off. Now, at first glance, it would look to be he would be covering obviously second place, and then obviously when Räikkönen came through, it looks like he was going to be covering Räikkönen. But then when Verstappen came through, it was like he was covering Verstappen, but obviously with Verstappen behind, he didn't know that he was going to be there. So Vettel's actions were odd. But the reason again I said Verstappen was obviously the mirrors was, they're covered in, they're rained out. You can't see much in them, probably not even anything in them. Obviously with Verstappen coming up much faster, he's got a big visibility, he's got a panorama shot. Obviously you've like Ricciardo, he's got Räikkönen and Vettel, he's got everyone he can see. Obviously he's got the 2 Ferraris that he's trying to squeeze in a gap for. He's got more of the mentality. Obviously again, as I said, he can see more of the incident. And then when this incident happens, it's just that really. I mean, it's almost like saying, it's like if somebody sees an incident that they can kind of avoid, but obviously they have more visibility than somebody behind. It's like something on the road, for example. I mean, it's like if you were in front with you had no idea that there was another car like next to you. If you cut them off, it's not your fault, because obviously if you couldn't see them. I mean, I know it's going to take more of an argument, especially if you're on the road
the blind spot.
Yes, I mean it's going to take more. It's going to take obviously more. It's going to take more arguing, especially if you're just on a normal clear day. But if it's rained out, if it's a rainy race like it was if it's like a rainy road like it wasn't in Singapore, and there's more height and there's more pressure and there's more testosterone in the air, I think there's going to be a lot more at stake. But I think that's why. So I think Verstappen could see Vettel coming, and I think that's why I said he was initially at fault. But the reason that Vettel was at fault was basically that as I say, he came off his racing line. I think that was, to be honest, that was probably the only thing that you could say, but that was a real factor of why this crash caused. You had Raikkonen on the very inside of the circuit, obviously against the pit barrier. You had Verstappen coming up, but I mean, once you're inside that sandwich, it's not like you could get out. It's not like Verstappen is going to slam on the brakes for two reasons. One, because obviously that's kind of dangerous, and two, because that's not the driver he is. Obviously, he wouldn't be in Formula 1 if he wasn't. Yeah. I think Christian would, probably kick him out if he did something like that. And so, I mean, the only kind of person who could have bailed out was Vettel, if that makes sense. Obviously, Raikkonen couldn't have. He can't go faster and go out of it. Verstappen won't put on the brakes and come out of it like backwards. The only one who can bail out is Vettel, and obviously he didn't. So in those incidents, Vettel didn't, because it was almost like he was putting himself in a dangerous position with other people and going, oh no, I'm too good for this. I'm so skilled and I can get out of this, but obviously I can't because we're about to collide. And they both hit each other, which obviously wasn't fantastic. Obviously, Fernando Alonso really upsetting by him. By the way, just on an unrelated note, I said obviously that he was going to finish in the top 10 in my predictions, obviously, and he was. Top 10 qualifying. Fantastic by both McLarens as well, and that was good. This was going to be McLaren's race. I reckon it's a real shame. Stoffel did okay, but I mean, it was a real shame about Alonso.
Career best for Stoffel.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, his 7th place was absolutely great. See, as he was just living off that 10th place that he had in Bahrain from last year. Really, really great from him. But obviously Fernando just really unbelievable. And the crash. So basically, I mean, in terms of my what I think is, obviously I have nothing against Verstappen, and I think he is a little bit to blame. Obviously Raikkonen's not, of course, and no one else is at fault. Obviously Alonso isn't to blame for sure. I know he's causing caught up in the crash, and Vettel is a little bit to blame. I couldn't say it's all Vettel's fault, and I can't say it's all Verstappen's fault. So I'm now going to say it's probably between Verstappen and Vettel, and really kind of on that bombshell. It's kind of a racing incident, John, but it is a hard one. It really is a hard one to gamble. It really is a hard one to say about it, though. But I can't say it's all Vettel, and I can't say it's all Verstappen. So I mean, who would you kind of say it's? What was your big verdict? And if you had to give the blame to any of those drivers, what would you do? Would you give them equally? Would you put it on all one driver? Because obviously, remember, Vettel was kind of getting most of the blame. Firstly.
It was like I said. Well, it was literally like Red Bull were blaming Vettel and Ferrari was blaming Verstappen. It was literally like a couple of kids on the playground where something's happened, and the head teacher came up to them and said, "Right, who's done this?" And they went, "It's him, sir. It's him, sir." That's pretty much what it was like. It was like he did it. It was like, well, hang on a second. Well, let's calm down. Let's rewind back a bit. Let's rewind. Let's start from the beginning. What exactly happened? That's what this incident is like. It's. I can't put, in my opinion, I can't put the blame on a certain driver. I can't say it was more Verstappen's fault than Raikkonen's fault. Or I can say it was more Raikkonen's fault than the contact. This all started with obviously Raikkonen and Verstappen, so you should be looking at them two mostly. However, if Vettel didn't come across, I reckon Verstappen would have seen. Verstappen wouldn't have swiftly moved to the left. That's when the contact was made. That's why the contact was made. Was because obviously the door was closing immediately when Verstappen started moving swiftly left. So obviously to avoid Vettel's man antics. Now, if Vettel didn't vigorously move to the left, Verstappen would have stayed in that exact position. Maybe even moved to the right because there was some space. There would have been any contact made. So but then again, you could say if Raikkonen, obviously he had a brilliant start, there's no doubt about that. However, if he didn't go to the outside, the contact would have been made. Vettel would have came across anyways, and then Red Bull might have said, "Oh, well, that was a bit, wild from Sebastain Vettel, wasn't it?" And then obviously they'll be like, that start Sebastain Vettel, what was that all about? And they'll be like, "Oh, it was a good start, and all that." So it is like a domino effect. It's like this could have happened, that could have happened, this could have happened, but at the end of the day. Everyone crashed. The FIA did say that there was no one to blame. They haven't blamed anyone. There's been no penalties whatsoever. I think there was talk about having penalty points on the super license of Sebastain Vettel, who obviously it is sky high at the moment. So, I don't know if they've reset. Actually, I think they've reset by now. So they reset at a certain point. So obviously, a race ban would have been fine. However, obviously, for the race points. However, I did get some quotations from the interviews that all three drivers had given. Now, I think obviously I'll read off some of them, and I want you guys to pretty much just to listen and work out from the three as to kind of who's the more sensible one, who's kind of like, I'm avoiding this, and who's the most honest one. Because I think that there's 3 stages to this, to these interviews. Now, first of all, we're going to start with Verstappen. Now, Verstappen said that he doesn't think it's a racing incident. He's putting the blame fully on Seb about obviously coming across, because he's like, well, you know, why would you do that? Why would you just all of a sudden just move vigorously to the left for no apparent reason? It's like, you know, anything could have happened. It was like, what you doing? So Verstappen certainly putting the finger on pointing the finger at Seb. He's like, you gave him no space to leave. So it was like, you know, come on, Seb, we're racing at the end of the day. You know, like that was a bit too violent, you could say. Vettel never really mentioned anything about the start. He just kind of said, well, he said that he got an average start away off the line, and then he said this race was over by turn 2. He never said anything about the contact, about anything moving, you know, about his vigorous move to the left. So he was kind of, he probably knew in his head that he was kind of at fault, but didn't really want to give anything away, because, you know, he was probably aware of what Ferrari tweeted. So he's probably like, well, I can't give anything away now. I've got to pretty much stick with the team. And Kimi said, well, the crash happened, and, you know, I went here, we crashed, but it doesn't matter who's at fault, we still crashed. You know, what's happened has happened, and we move on. So obviously, Kimi's saying, well, it's happened. You know, it doesn't matter. We can talk about this for weeks, months, and years. You know, Hamilton still won the race. We still retired. That's the end of it. Vettel's like, well, I got a decent start, and, you know, I retired at turn 1. Yeah, and Verstappen's like, it was Vettel. All Vettel. Blame Vettel. It's his fault. You know, sack him, whatever. So there's definitely the tension's definitely there between Vettel and Verstappen now because of this, Lyle. Now, I mean, it's like, right, where we're going with this, right? Okay, so from what I was saying there about Max Verstappen, you know, immediately pointing the finger at Sebastain Vettel, do you think because of this, do you think there should be like some sort of new laws introduced on racing starts so we don't see anything like this again? Because, or maybe try and get, if Verstappen couldn't see Kimi right, he hasn't really said if he could or couldn't, but from what we've seen, he couldn't. So do you think maybe improving the visibility of so that the other drivers can see each other, so that something like this doesn't happen again? Because that was quite dangerous. What happened? Yeah. Because anything could have been anywhere. Tires flying as well, and obviously those Halo cockpit lovers would be like, "Oh, the Halo, it'll be great in these situations." It's like, get out of here! You're not really Formula 1 fans. Get out! You know, it wouldn't do nothing. So obviously, you know, the FIA would be like, "Yeah, proving a point here." It's like, no, you're not. It's rubbish. So do you think maybe improving maybe the driver's visibility on that, yes. Or maybe do you think that this is just going to rumble on for many weeks, and then when another incident like this happens between these two drivers, more Max and Max and Seb, it's going to be like, oh, Singapore 2017. I mean,
yeah. So
what do you think?
Right. Okay. I mean, I know what you mean. You know, trying obviously to avoid this, but Lewis Hamilton mentioned. Yeah. He mentioned one thing when on his interview on the way in. Obviously, someone said, I mean, he wasn't involved, and by the way, he won, so it's not really like he wants. You know, he's like for the crashing or whatever. But he said though that the race, it maybe should have been safety car started, and obviously, I think a lot of people could agree. If it was safety car started, obviously this wouldn't have happened. There might have been a tangle, you know, when the safety car came in. Obviously, after like 5, 6, 7, whatever. But obviously, I mean, we went to Silverstone last year. We know how frustrating it is to have a safy car wet start. So I know that's what the fans don't want to see.
It was annoying.
Yeah, but if that maybe had happened, obviously they would have had a better way off the line. There wouldn't have been a crash. There wouldn't have been any kind of incident, or at least for a good few laps. And obviously, and then the tyres would have been, you know, warmer. Everyone would have been, you know, settling into more of a rhythm. And I think, I don't know if that's the only kind of way to, you know, to maybe have said we could have avoided this. But I've got to say, I mean, you know, Singapore is always it's always been a bit of a gamble with the safety car. As I put in the Grand Prix and the preview, obviously the statistics, like how much it'll come out is you know, really really high, and obviously especially if it rains, it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be sky high. So I think to say that, you know, I mean, we had the safety car a few times, obviously, for example, like Marcus Ericsson when he spanned the car on the tunnel, which obviously was really amazing. That was quite a big spectacle. Obviously, past my nod on people like that have crashed there before. But so maybe if the safety car had started the race, it wouldn't have been so bad, John. So I mean, obviously, like kind of two questions. So do you think the safety car start would have, made the race? Well, that wouldn't have happened. And then also something that I want to quickly kind of move on to as well, which is how drastic is this for Vettel in the championship to lose the race, to lose not just the win, not just 25 points, like 25 points going to someone else, but he's lost, obviously, as you know, he's lost points and reputation going into Malaysia. So obviously Hamilton's ahead, by a race win and a good few points as well. And obviously he carried over from his win in Monza. So do you think that's like So how like drastic do you think that is for Vettel, or do you think he's just going to pull it back? 'Cause, I mean, he's only a race win, and as I say, a few points away by Malaysia. This could all be resolved really in terms of his championship. His running in the championship.
It could be. Well, obviously, your first question about the safety car start. Well, obviously, it would have been prevented because I can't imagine Kimi Räikkönen having a start like that under the safety car. So, obviously, it definitely would have been avoided. Maybe there could have been some sort of locking up, obviously, because. Remember, there's never been a wet race at Singapore. It's never happened before. So for everyone there, it was a brand new experience. It was like I've never been around in the wets around this track. They might have done a few simulator work just in case it was to happen, but it hasn't happened before. So maybe if the safety car had done 3 laps, obviously the driver is getting used to the conditions, but that's not a race pace. Obviously, they're not going to know how the car's going to react. So when they get go, maybe there might have been a few lock-ups, maybe there could have been a few, losing grips. God knows what could have happened. There could have been loads of absolute carnage in turn 1. They might have gotten away clean. That you really don't know. But maybe the safety car should have started. But then you could argue if the safety car did start, we wouldn't have known this would have happened. So everyone would have been like, "Why is the safety car starting?" And they're on intermediate tyres. So there was no. It was like, well, safety car start. Or that's going to happen again. It's like, which one would you have? It's like safety car start and that doesn't happen, or no safety car start, and you're putting drivers' lives at risk. Even though, because obviously the cars are safe, but we're seeing what happened with Jules Bianchi, so I don't want to say that they are fully safe. So anyone could have been hurt, even the spectators.
Just one thing I wanted, just one thing as well, John. I was going to mention this earlier on. I was going to say, I mean, the track, it maybe didn't look too wet, but when they got into that runoff area, onto turn 1, I mean, that from the cameras on board looked like it looked like an ice ring. It was unbelievable. That's so. I mean, but obviously you wouldn't have known that before that, but I mean, obviously it would have been very, very strange to, what would we have done? But obviously we are playing with we are playing with fire at the end of the day, and obviously the drivers, they come first in terms of their safety. Even though I've got to say, I mean, when it was dry, was it going to rain? Was it not going to rain in Singapore? It was like that was all exciting. And I've got to say, even like us as well watching it, was like the safety kind of element didn't really cross your mind to think, it's Singapore, it's technical, it's it's 23 corners or whatever. It's really, really hard. It's really tight, and obviously add rain into it. It's a bit like Monaco in the rain. Obviously, Monaco last year was started under the safety car. Brazil was started under the safety car last year. So was Silverstone. Even a wide track like Silverstone. So it's like, if Silverstone's going to be starting under the safety car, disappointing fans and stuff like that. What is a track in the dark under floodlights, a really tight technical barriered circuit with no runoff areas whatsoever? It's like maybe they should have. But as I say, I mean, talking in hindsight, John, counting hindsight, it's a bit of a strange thing, really, because obviously, I mean, we can sit here and we can say what should have happened, but I don't think they really knew that beforehand. I mean, it's like I don't think they really knew. At the end of the day, it might have only been light drizzle. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you have to take the blame away from the driver, and I think now we're talking about the rain and stuff like that. Maybe in terms of the rain and the how the rain was playing out, maybe it was somebody else's fault. Maybe someone else had a little more to blame than, for example, like Sebastain taking all of it. But I mean, it really is a hard one. Do you think? I mean, what do you think going into the race? Do you think they were thinking a safety car would have been a great idea, or what? Yeah. I mean, because some of these races, for example, like Silverstone. I mean, you remember just turning off experience. You remember the track was drying, but the safety car was still out and the sun was out. The clouds had gone and the sun was out, but the track was still wet, so there was no fall. There was only standing water, but the safety car came out. It's like that, and even something small with these massive like really high torqued turbo engines and these little I mean intermediate tyres are still like they still are like rubbing your hand along a 10-foot pole of ice. It's like it'll just slide off straight away. So I think maybe the decision to not have the safety car to start the race was a bit of a gamble. But I mean, as I say, hindsight, it really is easy to talk in, John.
Yeah.
But do you think it would have made any? Do you think they should have done that? Is that like what you're saying? Do you think they should have started the safety car as a start? To think that, so I'd say a safety car chance is like about a 90% chance of being used in Singapore alone.
Maybe they should have because, well, obviously, as like I said before, no one's raced around or driven around Singapore in the wets before. It's never happened in any sort of, I mean, I'm not just talking about a race, I'm talking about, qualifying FP3, 2 and 1 as well. It's never happened. So maybe they should have. But some of the drivers was on intermediate tyres, so some of the teams were like, "Well, it's not that bad. It's been a big downpour, but the track looks all right. It's very, very hot in Singapore, so it should have been drying out quite quickly. It dried out a lot slower than what everyone was thinking. Everyone thought, because you had Hamilton on the radio going, "Why is the track not drying? What's going on?" He was getting really frustrated. But it's like I said, even, maybe they should have, but in a way, it is a hard one, because obviously I'm thinking of like, right, if the safety car had it been out and it did start, this topic would have been why, safety car there should not be a safety car start. So either way, us and other people was going to debate about one or the other. Big crash at turn 1, and as well, we wouldn't have been talking about it if nothing had happened. So the safety car would have been even in the question, but. Maybe they should. It would have been on Charlie Whiting's mind of should we or should we not. There probably would have been a bit of a discussion, just like it doesn't look wet enough to me. No, it doesn't matter. No, we won't. And obviously, maybe when Charlie Whiting saw what happened, he was a bit like, oh dear, maybe I should have started on the safety car. Oh dear. But what is that pretty much what Kimi said? What's done is done, and nothing will change that. We're just giving our opinion of what could have been and what might have been. But obviously, just going back to the question there about Sebastain Vettel's chances in the title race, it was a humongous, big word, blow for the championship. 28 points he's now behind. That's the most gap anyone's had in the season championship. Hamilton is running away with it. Everyone had their money on Vettel to win. I had my money on Vettel to win, and I was like, he's going to win. Pole position, he's going to win easily. Why wouldn't he? Very hard overtake. Vettel in a pacey car, he's in the wets. Oh, come on, it's Vettel's to lose. And now he's 28 points behind. This is the first time that both Ferraris have retired. This is the second time in 11 years, let's say. I think the last one was Mexico 2015. So a long time ago, since both Ferraris didn't finish. So obviously, I think we all know what happened there. But this couldn't have came at a worse time for Sebastain Vettel. It's a huge stint. It definitely advantage Hamilton. Now, Seb, I would say at least there's 6 rounds to go. He needs to win at least 3 of them to stay in the fight. Well, obviously depending on where Lewis finishes, but I can't see Lewis Hamilton retiring anytime soon. So he has to win at least 3 of them and hope Hamilton wins maybe 1 towards the end of the season after Vettel's gone on a really good run. Hamilton's won 3 races since, or all the races since we came back from the summer break, including the one beforehand at Belgium. So he's on a really good run. So the momentum is with Hamilton. The next one we're going to is Malaysia. This is a really bad situation for Ferrari and Sebastain Vettel, because the track at Singapore was Mercedes' worst track that they're going to. It's advantage Ferrari. It's now advantage Mercedes at a high-speed track like Malaysia. It's not looking good for Sebastain Vettel. Ferrari aren't going to win the constructors. I know that for a fact. Over 100 points behind Mercedes. Mercedes have won it now. I know they have. The title fight, I don't know. There is still 150 to play for. Don't forget that. There's still 150 to play for. But from this, the momentum of Hamilton, I can't. He is unbeatable right now. I can't see him losing this now. He's learned from last year. He definitely learned from last year. So if last year hadn't happened, he might have cocked up.
Yeah.
But he's like, right, I remember Rosberg from last season. Then look what happened there. So I'm not gonna sit back and relax. I'm going for this now. I want a 4th world championship. Second time, second in the all-time win rankings, most pole positions of all time. He could go. I think only 4 other drivers have got 4 world championships, including Sebastain Vettel. You know, I want to be in that group. I want 5, I want 6, I want 8. So he's wasting no time. Is Lewis Hamilton? Oh dear.
I mean, he's not helping his chances in the World Championship. It's kind of like he is imploding. He's not helping himself because obviously, as I say, he's lost points that would definitely be beneficial to him, and obviously we know that it's not. I mean, Formula One, it's not like one driver's going to retire straight away and things like that. You know, you have to keep the points going, and you have to keep the consistency going. I think it might have. I mean, if Vettel finishes like just behind Hamilton all the time or just in front of Hamilton, it's like he's got to kind of outdo him on every single race. It is going to be hard. It is going to be tight. And as I say, I mean, Vettel needs to pray for a miracle that one, he finishes and does everything right. But I mean, he needs to win every race. If he wins every race, and see Hamilton comes second on about like 6 of those. No, we haven't got 6 races left. So basically, it has to be one. If it's 1-2 for every single round, just off the top of my head, it might be okay. But I'll have to do some more LC, patent pending, number crunches for that. But that's a thing. That is a thing now that's happening anyway. But yeah, it might be okay. We'll have to work out what's going to happen. But he'll have to keep his nose unbelievably clean, Jordan. Going to Malaysia, for example, and obviously 4 races in 5 weeks in October. Really excited for that. And then the final 2 rounds in Brazil and Abu Dhabi. I mean, it was all to play for with Vettel, and if he loses this, I mean, you know, it is going to be absolutely massive in terms of reputation, and I don't know how he comes across in Formula 1. It really is going to be big, but obviously we have to save that for another episode because we've gone on for this topic for a long time. It is really big,
obviously we have done because it's such a big topic to talk about because obviously the situation with Sebastain Vettel now, it's like almost we've gone from one topic to another really. So it's like, yes, obviously it's Sebastain Vettel's. It was Sebastain Vettel's to lose. Now it's Lewis Hamilton's to lose because obviously yes, he's now in front of the championship, but he's only been leading since Italy after the Italian Grand Prix. So maybe it's our fault. Maybe we're to blame for this.
Well, actually, just as you said that, John, there's quickly kind of a miss. It's not Lewis Hamilton's to lose. It's Lewis Hamilton's to gain because obviously Vettel's been on fire this year. And for Hamilton to come through, I think if he does this, it's kind of going to basically it's going to be a bit like of a 2008. That's how I see it. And I'm going to quickly kind of end on that. I think that this year, if Hamilton wins, I'm going to see it as kind of like a 2008 Lewis Hamilton. You know, he came out of nowhere. He is unbelievably strong, and he's kind of back to the driver that we all love. So, yeah, that John, you know, just putting that out there. I think if Lewis Hamilton wins this World Championship, I think it's going to go back to the 2008. Obviously, 14 and 15, fantastic. 14, great. 15, he was dominating, but 2008 obviously was unbelievable. I think it'll be the same as 2008. Do you agree, or do you think the other 2 years were more
14
special?
and 15 were very dominant, weren't they? I would say that. 16, obviously, but that was
Rosberg.
Obviously more Rosberg's. However, Hamilton did win 10 races that season, right? And he lost the championship. That's the most. That's the most times someone has won races in the season and not won the championship. So keep that in the back of your mind. You know, 10 races, didn't win the championship.
That is the ultimate.
He won the last 4, didn't he? And everyone was like, if Rosberg finishes in P2 in every single race from the last 4 rounds, I think it was up until was it? No, it wasn't. It was. Oh, I don't know. It was Mexico. It was Mexico or the States. It was one of them, and obviously including that and the 3 rounds after that. So, you know, it is still a lot to play for. However, it is going to be hard for Sebastain Vettel. It's going to be very, very hard, and I think it is going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. Anyway, guys, this is where we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed probably a very big debate, I would say. No, this isn't the big debate. Obviously, leave your opinions in the comment section below about anything that was said about Sebastain Vettel. You know, was he to blame? Max Verstappen, Kimi Räikkönen, and obviously Sebastain Vettel's chances in the World Championship. Very, very big, very, you know, massive topic. I would say probably the biggest topic that we will talk about this season. But if you are new around here, then please hit that subscribe button as well. Drop a like, dislike, tell us why you're going to dislike this video. Feedback is very, very critical for us as well, we must say. But anyway, guys, we've been there for the debate show. Until next time, see you later.
See you later, guys.